Dear students, hello and welcome to this new English lesson on أونروا TV. I wish you a good time, full of joy and benefit. Dear students, to start our lesson, let's have two riddles. Now let's think. The first riddle. The odd word is. Now we will have 4 words. You have to think carefully about them and then you have to tell me what the odd word is. Now you have the time to think about these words. Go. So dear students, got it? Excellent. The odd word is very good. It's played. Why? Because played is a regular verb. It ends with ed. But the other 3 verbs are irregular. Thank you very much. And now let's go to the other riddle. Which word is written correctly? Now we have 4 words. Look carefully at them and then tell me what word is written correctly. We have 3 written incorrectly and 1 written correctly. So pay attention to the spelling. Go. Okay, dear students, got it? So, very good. The word which is written correctly is this one, internet. Again, internet. Do you use the internet? How often do you use the internet? Okay, great. Now, dear students, look at this picture. As you can see, we have many people here are communicating. They are communicating. Now, I will ask you a question. Do you have a mobile phone? Do you have a computer? Do you have a Facebook account? Okay. Now, another question. What do we use these things for? What do we use the mobile phone, the computer, and the Facebook accounts for? Great. You will say to communicate with others. So we use these things for communication. And this is what we are going to talk about in this lesson. Communication. Without communications, there are no relations. Okay, dear students. And now another question. Did people have these things in the past? Did people have mobile phones, computers, and Facebook accounts in the past? To answer this question, let's see this one. Life is different now. Again, life is different now. So this sentence tells us that life nowadays is different from in the past. Now, what about these differences? Do you know some of them? Now, let's listen to the following to see these differences. Let's go.
In the past, people wrote more letters.
Today, they write more emails.
In the past, people spoke on telephones.
Today, they speak on mobile phones.
In the past, there weren't any computers.
Today, they use computers a lot.
Thank you very much, dear students. Now, is communication today the same as in the past? Of course not. Now, dear students, let's go to this activity, match. Now look, match the words with the pictures. As you can see, dear students, we have 3 pictures, and here we have 3 words. Now, let's match the word with its picture. Okay, the first one. Here we have computer, mobile phone, and telephone. What is it? Great, of course, it's a telephone. Telephone. Again, telephone. Okay, what about this? Great, thank you very much. It's a mobile phone. Mobile phone. And the last one, very good. It's a computer. It's a computer. So this is a telephone, this is a mobile phone, and this is a computer. Now let's have 3 pictures. We have 3 pictures and 3 words. Now let's match. Okay, what's this? Is it a message, an email, or a letter? Of course, it's a letter. Thank you very much. Letter. Now, what about this? Look. Very good. It's a message. Text message. Text message. And the last one, very good. It's an email. It's an email. Again, how we have a letter, message, and email. And we use these things to communicate with others. To communicate with others. Thank you very much. Now, dear students, let's look at these pictures. How we have 2 questions. What did people do in the past? What did people do in the past? The second question is, what do people do nowadays? So we have in the past and we have nowadays. And as we said, communication today is different from in the past. Okay, dear students, let's go. How we have 2 things. What are they? Excellent. This is a letter and this is an email. Let's read. People wrote more letters in the past, but they write more emails nowadays. Look, dear students. In the past, people wrote. How we used the second form of the verb because it is in the past. Wrote. But because we have nowadays we used the first form of the verb, which is write. So wrote is the second form of the verb write. Write, wrote. Okay. Now look, how we have, excellent, this is a telephone and this is a mobile phone. In the past, people spoke on telephones. In the past, people spoke on the telephones, but nowadays, they speak on mobile phones. In the past, people spoke. Look, spoke. It is the second form of the verb because we have in the past. But nowadays, they speak. Look at the verb. It is in the first form, speak. So, spoke is the second form of the verb speak. Speak, spoke. Great. Now, dear students, let's look at these 2 lists. How we have the verb in the first form and how we have the verb in the second form. Now, let's have the verb speak. Speak. Can you give me the second form of this verb? Great. Of course, it's spoke. So, speak, spoke. Another verb. We have write. Write. What is the second form of the verb write? Of course, it's wrote. Wrote. Speak, spoke. Write, wrote. As you can see, dear students, we have no ed at the end of these verbs. We call them irregular verbs. Irregular verbs. Now, we have send. Send. Do you know the second form of this verb? And how we have the second form which is used. Dear students, through the following examples, we are going to get the second form of the verb send and the first form of the verb used. Okay, let's go. How we have a text message and how we have a letter. Let's read. In the past, people sent letters. Look, in the past, people sent letters. But today, people send. Today, people send. Sent is the second form of the verb send. Send. Okay. What about these ones? How we have two cameras, a big camera and a small camera. In the past, people used big cameras. In the past, people used big cameras. But today, people use small cameras. Now look how we have in the past. In the past. So we use used, which is the second form of the verb use. How we used use, the first form of the verb use. Why? Because we have today. So in the past, people used, and today people use. Now, dear students, let's get back to the lists. Now we have to give the second form of the verb send. Send. Very good. Sent. Sent. Send is the first form. Sent is the second form. Now, used. It is the second form of the verb. Yes, thank you very much. Of course, use. Use, the first form. Used, the second form. Speak, spoke. Write, wrote. Send, sent. And use, used. Thank you very much, dear students. And now let's go to this activity. Choose the right verb. Choose the right verb. The first one. In the past, people speak or spoke on the telephone. In the past. In the past. So we have to use the second form of the verb. In the past. So, excellent. Thank you very much. We say, in the past, people spoke. People spoke on the telephone. Now, the second one. Nowadays, people spoke or speak on mobile phones. Look how we have nowadays. Nowadays. So, we have to use the first form of the verb. So, spoke or speak. Excellent, of course. We will say, nowadays, people speak. People speak on mobile phones. Thank you. The third one. Look, people wrote or write more letters in the past. In the past. People, of course, wrote. Very good. People wrote more letters in the past. In the past. Okay. The last one, dear students. People wrote or write more emails and text messages nowadays. Nowadays. So, very good. We will say people write more emails and text messages nowadays. Nowadays. So, we used write, the first form of the verb, because we have nowadays. Okay, dear students. We will continue our lesson, but after this short break. Please stay with us. Dear students, welcome back. And now let's look at the following picture. How we have Ruba and her mom. They are planning to stay at a hotel. Ruba's mom is going to write a letter to the hotel. But Ruba doesn't like the idea. She suggests something. Now, let's listen to the dialogue between Ruba and her mom to see what Ruba suggested. Okay, let's go.
Ruba, I'm going to write the letter now to the hotel. Then we can go to the post office, buy a stamp, and put it in the post box.
Mom, why don't you send an email to the hotel? It's quicker and easier too.
Can you show me, Ruba?
Yes, of course. Now, this is the website of the hotel. Write your message in the box and click on send.
Thank you, Ruba.
Thank you very much, dear students. And now let's answer questions about this dialogue. Answer the questions. The first one, what is Ruba's mom going to do? Again, what is Ruba's mom going to do? She's going to, look, I'm going to write the letter now to the hotel. So she says that she's going to write, very good, a letter. So she's going to write a letter to the hotel. A letter to the hotel. Another question. What is Ruba's idea? We said Ruba doesn't like her mom's idea. She has a different idea. So, what is Ruba's idea? Let's go to the text to know Ruba's idea. Look, Mom, why don't you send an email to the hotel? So, she's suggesting to send an email. So, can you answer this question? Of course, we will say she wants to send an email. She wants to send an email to the hotel. Okay, dear students. And now let's have the last question. This is for you. This question is for you. Do you prefer to write a letter or to send an email? If you want to communicate with someone, will you send him a letter or an email? Of course, you will say, I prefer to send an email. I prefer to send an email. Why? Simply, we can say, because it's easier and quicker. Because it's easier and quicker. Okay, dear students, thank you very much. And now, as we agreed, life is different. Life today is different from life in the past. Now, let's look at the following two pictures. We have two pictures. Dear students, can you tell me which picture represents today and which picture represents the past? Okay, dear students, as we can see, here we have big things, but here we have smaller things. So, of course, this picture represents the past. So, these things were in the past, but these things are nowadays. They are nowadays. So, in the past, nowadays. Now, let's have some pictures to compare between the past and today. So, dear students, let's write some sentences. Let's write some sentences. Let's look at the following two pictures. Okay? This one is or was, very good. This was in the past and this one is today. Now, what was this boy doing? We will say people wrote letters. In the past, people wrote letters. But today or nowadays, people, very good, write emails. They write and send emails. Now, what about these? Okay, look, this computer is big, but here we have a smaller one. So, this was in the past, and this is today. We say, in the past, computers were very big. Computers were very big, but today, they are very small. They are very small. Okay. Here we have two telephones. This one was in, of course, it was in the past, and this one is today. Now, as you can see, the telephones in the past were heavy. Look, it's heavy. So, in the past, telephones were heavy. But today, they are lighter. Telephones are lighter. Okay. Now, the last two pictures. Okay. As you can see, dear students, we have two televisions. Okay. This one was, of course, it was in the past, and this one is today. Now, we will say, in the past, televisions were big. Televisions were big, but today, look, they are smaller. Televisions are smaller. Thank you very much. And now, dear students, let's have this activity. Write the correct form of the verb. Write the correct form of the verb. The first one. In the past, people, how we have to use the verb buy. The second form of the verb buy, stamps. And how we have to use the second form of the verb write, and letters to their friends. Okay, what is the second form of the verb buy? Excellent. You will say, in the past, people bought. Buy, bought. Bought stamps. And, very good, wrote letters to their friends. In the past, people bought stamps and wrote letters to their friends. But what about today? Nowadays, they sometimes, how we have to use the correct form of the verb buy, computers and mobile phones. So, we have nowadays. We say, excellent, nowadays, they sometimes, it becomes as it is, buy. They sometimes buy computers and mobile phones. Another one. In the past, people write and send emails and messages. Okay. In the past, people write becomes, very good, wrote. People wrote, and send becomes, very good, sent. Sent emails and messages. In the past, people wrote and sent emails and messages. The last one, dear students, they sometimes, okay, write, and we have send emails and messages. Okay, what would you say? Very good. They sometimes write. It becomes as it is. And the same, send becomes as it is. Send emails and messages. Again, they sometimes write and send emails and messages. Thank you very much. And now, dear students, let's classify. Classify. Now we have a group of words. A group of words. And here we have a table. Let's classify these things in the past and today. In the past and today. Okay, let's read these words. Big computer, message, letter, telephone, laptop, mobile phone. Let's read them again and pay attention. Let's classify them into in the past and today. Big computer, message, letter, telephone, laptop, and finally we have mobile phone. Now let's start with big computer. Big computer. Was it in the past or is it in today? Big computer. Very good. You will say it was in the past. So, in the past we had big computers. What about message? Message. Of course, you will say it is in today. Today. Now let's move to letter. Letter. It was, of course, in the past. So, in the past, we had big computers and letters. Today we have message. And let's complete the table. Telephone. Telephone. Was it in the past or is it today? Very good. You will say the telephone was in the past. It was in the past. Now, we have two missing things in today. We have laptop and mobile phone. So, you will say we have laptops and mobile phones today. So, laptop and mobile phones are today. Now, let's read them together. In the past, we had big computers, letters, and telephones. But today, or nowadays, we have messages, laptops, and mobile phones. And still, we have other things. Thank you very much, dear students. And now, this is the end of our lesson. But before we end the lesson, let's have this project for you to do. How do you communicate with your friend in USA? If you have a friend in the USA, how will you communicate with him? Do you write him a letter? Do you write him a letter? Or do you send him an email? Or do you send him a text message? Or do you call him on the telephone? Or do you call him on the mobile phone? So as you can see, dear students, we have so many things to communicate with others. So this is the end of our lesson. I hope that you got benefits and enjoyed your time. Thank you once again and goodbye.